I moved out, and that was the start of rock bottom. It really was, because that gave me more opportunity to do whatever I wanted, which was never good. So I started hosting parties. I think there was probably 6 months straight that I was either high or drunk every day. I felt lonely, even though I had people around me. I was so alone in my own head and heart. Through prayer, I've kind of developed my mindset as well to being more selfless than selfish. I still struggle, but I try to be for God as an advocate and kind of showing others how to be a good person, even though I've been a very bad person in my past. I'm Hunter Porter. I've been attending Maple City for 7 months now. So I grew up in a divorced family. Mom and dad separated when I was very young, so I don't know much about it. I did have my father remarry when I was younger, and my mother not so much. It was later on. But I had a 2-mother role and 1.5 dads most times, so it was a very confusing childhood. Trying to know who to follow, what to do correctly, and when sides are telling the opposite, it's very confusing to a young kid. So I always felt really isolated. And as far as faith goes, we were in and out of different churches all the time. It would be a 6-month stint, and that'd be it. And then we'd move on, and then it'd be a couple years, and then we'd go back to church for a couple years, or 6 months again, and it'd be the same thing, kind of revolving. We never had a set standard of a Christian household, even though we would claim to be a Christian household. So I never had that foundation, which was very tough, and I wish it was different, but I'm glad it is the way it is now. I had a very rough family, per se. A lot of family members with addictions and rough backgrounds that I just never really looked up to, except for my parents. They were the only ones. So I didn't have any external role models other than my immediate family, which was kind of difficult. I had 100 friends at least, but I'd say 3 of them were really close, 4 of them maybe, but they weren't truly with my soul. We would just hang out together and be together, do things together, but they weren't with my soul like I would wish they were. They went after different things than I did. I was just chasing attention, things that I would feel like I had a purpose, but it would always be futile. There would be nothing there behind what I found. So post-graduation, we all just started partying. It was week after week of just looking for the next thrill, whether it be drugs, alcohol, just doing dumb stuff, illegal stuff all the time, just for something to do to fulfill what we thought was our purpose. But it ended up nowhere. It was nowhere positive. And that was another kind of cycle of just lows, and then we think it's going to be a high, and it's just another low. I was depressed very often. I actually moved out of my parents' house because we were just butting heads all the time, because I just wanted to party all the time. And they knew that, and I didn't want to admit it out loud. I thought I just wanted freedom, and they were overbearing, but I wanted to just rule my own world, just be the king, but it doesn't work that way. I moved out, and that was the start of rock bottom. It really was, because that gave me more opportunity to do whatever I wanted, which was never good. So I started hosting parties. I think there was probably 6 months straight that I was either high or drunk every day. It was terrible. I was 19 and 20 at the time. It was very rough. I was very was in a very, very dark place. I felt lonely, even though I had people around me. I was so alone in my own head and heart. At one point in that depression, I noticed that I really wasn't as good of a person as I always thought I was. Because I knew I had a bunch of friends, I thought I was just a really good person, but looking at the things that I did and the ways that I thought, I wasn't what you would consider a good person to others. I was very selfish. I had anger towards a lot of things in my life that I made mistakes on, and I just held grudges. I didn't have love for anybody like I should have, myself included. And that's when I met my now fiance, Faith, oddly enough. And she gave me a reason to change. She really did. Because I looked at myself, and then I looked at her, and I was like, wow, I do not deserve what she is. And I tried to change a few things, but it was hard to let go, is what I was thinking of. That party lifestyle was very hard to let go of. And I struggled with that for a while. But there was a night that we sat there both crying in a conversation, and I had been praying, actually. I had never really prayed until a few weeks before that. I had just been praying that God would kind of help me fix this. And it was more of Him just guiding me towards Him. So that was a day that we decided we would start attending church together. So we had a work event, and there were a bunch of guests invited, and Randy Mullet happened to be one of the guests. And we just started up a conversation, just introduced ourselves, and I could just see this kind of glow around him of just a warm, warm heart. And the way he was kind of explaining his faith made me really passionate about a Christian man, and it kind of inspired me a little bit. And he ended up inviting my fiance and I to Maple City, and we ended up taking advantage of that offer. And a couple weeks later, we ended up going, and we had probably the best church service we'd ever attended together. And we decided on the way home that was our home church. I was always used to Sundays just being a lazy day, and I'm not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. So now, getting up early on Sundays, it was hard to start. It really was. And it was it felt like an obligation at the beginning. Like I had to go to church. And instead of looking at it as I get to go to church. So that was a big change for me. So once we started attending Maple City, I every day at work started to just pray while I'd work. And that was a big turning point in my life. When I feel the presence of God with me all day long, your day gets so much better. It really does. It's amazing. You realize that you're not all alone, not necessarily in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense as well, emotional sense. You always feel like there's somebody with you, even if you feel alone. There's somebody walking right next to you, guiding you through hard times and good times. There was a podcast I listened to. They said, praising God on your worst day is more faithful than praising God on your best day. Yeah. So through prayer, I've kind of developed my mindset as well to being more selfless than selfish. I still struggle, but I try to be for God as an advocate, and kind of showing others how to be a good person, even though I've been a very bad person in my past. After starting attending Maple City, Faith and I we developed our faith together kind of grew exponentially, really, instead of just by ourselves. And we decided that we want to live a life for God and not for ourselves. And it would benefit everyone around us, including ourselves. So we decided that we would leave everything at God's feet and just guide us through life, see where it will take us, put our trust in Him. The day that we got baptized, my grandfather came up to me right before we did, and he said that you guys are declaring war. And that was exactly what it was. We thought that baptism would make things easier, and it did the exact opposite. Even though it strengthened our faith, it has been very testing times. We've had many issues with family. I had a very close friend of mine commit suicide. My family had several severe health issues. They were in the hospital. And we were just like, why? Why now? I kind of started to develop an anger towards God. Like, I just kind of gave my life to you, and you're making my life very difficult right now. A couple months ago, it really was a wrestling match, and just trying to understand reasons, but I had to let that go and just trust Him instead of asking why. It was not easy, but after a couple months of just continuing my prayer and just asking Him to give me courage and guidance rather than give me answers and fix my problems, that kind of helped me develop this. Even though life is not any easier than it was before, I have somebody with me, and they're guiding me through it with patience and showing people love at the same time. And the only reason is because of Him. I just have to point towards Him. God is with us. Even if we don't see Him in the darkest times, He is always going to be next to us. My life is not easier, but it is more fulfilling, knowing that I am living for Him rather than for myself. I kind of use it as a point to guide people towards following Jesus. I've had a lot of people ask me questions of why I am the way I am now. They've noticed a change in me, and I'm just like, it's not me. It's not me at all. It's Him. He's made the change in my heart, which I never thought was possible. Difficult times are now what seem to be easier because I lean on Him a lot more than I would just lean on myself, and it gets me nowhere. Leaning on Him is the only way to get through difficult times now. I've surrounded myself with a community of people that are Christ-like, and that has truly helped me develop my own faith even stronger than it would be alone. Just surrounding yourself with people that are good people, they have a good heart, and they love God truly with all of their heart. It will make you want to love God with all of your heart, and you will have your own passion just as they do. If anybody is struggling with being alone, feeling alone, there's only one answer for you. It is to lean on God. That's it. To trust in Him, trust in His plan for you, even if it looks scary and it's unsure, just trust Him. It's the only way you'll get through it.